Let's talk about this Trump indictment. Today, President Trump, actually this morning, arrived at Miami's International Airport, and he is scheduled to appear in federal court in Florida on these charges that he has been indicted on. An indictment is just a charge of a crime. It's a fancy word for that phenomena. He has been indicted on several charges. I actually read the entire indictment last night with a big cup of coffee next to me so that you don't have to, so I can summarize some of the most salient points. But by the way, I think it is incumbent upon every American to read at least some portions of that indictment. We should know what is going on with a former president. Similarly, I believe that it is incumbent upon every American to read the relevant documents pertaining to the House's investigation of the Biden family. I get it. These are long documents. They're confusing. So I'm here to give you a summary, but if you do want to read the indictment, focus especially on pages 10 to 25. Those have the most important information, and I promise you it actually is more palatable and digestible for individuals who are not well versed in legal jargon. I'm 23 years old. I graduated from college a year ago. Trust me, I'm not very well versed in legal jargon. If I could understand it, you can understand it. Okay, so he's arriving today. He is going to be officially arraigned, which basically means he's going to make an appearance in court. They are formally going to present the charges to his face and then allow President Trump and his legal team to enter a plea, guilty or not guilty. Now, what's interesting about this case is that this indictment was brought about by a special prosecutor who was appointed by our Attorney General, Merrick Garland, in order to investigate potential obstruction of justice and mishandling of documents that former President Trump supposedly engaged in. Now, this special prosecutor gets to decide where to file the indictment. And there are state prosecutors, there are federal prosecutors, but every state has at least one federal district. So because this is a federal prosecution as opposed to a state prosecution, because President Trump has allegedly committed a federal crime, they are going to choose a federal district to prosecute him. And the special prosecutor has chosen West Palm Beach, Florida, i.e., the Southern Federal District of Florida, to prosecute the former president. Why is this important? Well, they could have chosen Washington, D.C. to be the location where President Trump is going to be prosecuted. Where an individual is prosecuted, the defendant / the offense has to have a connection to that location. Again, so President Trump, he could have been tried in Washington, D.C. because that's where he transferred the documents from, or he could have been tried in Florida, where Mar-a-Lago is, where he possessed these documents. The location has to have a tie to the crime. But the prosecutor chose West Palm Beach, Florida, over Washington, which is actually a good thing for President Trump because it means that he is more likely to get a jury in Florida that is sympathetic to his case, if you will, than he was likely to get a jury in Washington, D.C. that was sympathetic to his case. It appears that the prosecutor selectively chose the Palm Beach location in order to get the public to accept these charges as more legitimate. It's actually a smart move on his part. If he had decided to prosecute President Trump in Washington, D.C., then all of us on the right would be saying, of course, he's doing it there. Of course, they're going to get a very liberal jury who's going to want to indict or formally charge Donald Trump. But no, they're doing it in Florida, which is good for Trump, and it does give more of an appearance of being impartial. Also, Mar-a-Lago is in Palm Beach. Mar-a-Lago is the site at which he allegedly held these documents, so it makes sense for him to be indicted here. Okay, so that's the background. Let's go into this indictment. As I said, I read it in full. It's damning. I'm not going to mince words. It's really bad. If this is true, it's terrible. It is just terrible for a former president to be doing this. Now, of course, there is a double standard with regard to prosecution. We're going to get into that, but two things can be true at once. It can be true that President Trump mishandled classified, top secret, important information pertaining to the United States domestic and international security. That is wrong. But it can also be true that he is being selectively prosecuted when we see people like former Vice President Mike Pence, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and indeed our own President Joe Biden possess classified documents and not be prosecuted. But again, let's go into the specifics here. He is being indicted on a few counts. First, a violation of the Espionage Act. The Espionage Act basically says that if someone in the government has possession of classified documents and they willfully communicate and transmit those documents to an individual who is not entitled to receive those documents, then they have violated this law. Additionally, the Espionage Act says that if this individual fails to deliver these documents to a person who is entitled to receive them, that is also a violation of the law. These are the first 31 counts, the majority of what President Trump is being indicted on.